Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live class, How to Win Friends and Influence People Professionally. Before we get started, I just want to say hello. You can also pop into chat, say hello to me. Make sure you send it to everyone so I can see it as well. Tell me where you're watching from. And while we wait for everyone to come in, we have people from all over the world attending. I have a little warm-up video that I'm going to show us so we can kind of get started.
So the big question is this: how do real people like us combat fake, awkward, boring, toxic interactions? We are adventurous introverts and authentic extroverts. How do we pitch ourselves so people listen? How do we not get interrupted in meetings? How do we socialize in a way that drives our success without being inauthentic? How can you stop wasting energy at events and with people you dread by taking command of your relationships? My name is Vanessa Van Edwards. I'm lead investigator at Science of People. Those are the questions, and I'll give you the answers.
That was just a little warm-up video for you. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. Be sure that you stay all the way to the end of the class because I have a little bonus surprise for you at the very end. So be sure you stay all the way to the end. And for those of you who are here for our People School orientation, I'll do that after I teach everything from our live class first. So we are in for a treat, and we have people here from all over the world. Let's pop into chat and see who's here. So we have from Colorado, from South Africa, hello from Boston, Orlando, New Mexico. So I can see I have a couple hundred people joining us. Thank you for giving me part of your day. We have a jam-packed live session for you today. We have a ton of stuff to go over. So I'm just gonna pop right into from Sacramento, from Texas, from the UK, Netherlands, Hungary. Oh my goodness. All right, keep going in there. I'm gonna look at those a little bit later, but right now I'm gonna get started into our curriculum so we can get right into all the stuff I have to teach us today. This is my super excited face. This is what I look like when I'm excited. I've been preparing for this class for many months, and I have picked some of my favorite science, my favorite curriculum, my juicy frameworks that we're gonna go over. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vanessa Van Edwards, and I am the lead investigator at the Science of People. We are a human behavior research lab. Basically, all this means is we are obsessed with how people work, what makes people tick, and figuring people out. I'm also the author of the best-selling book, Captivate, and today we are talking about one of my favorite topics, which is how to win friends and influence people professionally. Specifically, this word influence. I think we talk a lot about influence, and my goal is to teach you a different way to think about influence. Specifically, how do we be influential without being inauthentic? That's my big goal today. The other part of my bio, that snazzy bio was great, but the unsnazzy part of my bio is I'm also a recovering awkward person. This is me, probably circa 1993 maybe, hamming it up for the camera. And in my history, I'm not one of those people who is naturally born with people skills. I am certainly not one of those people who is naturally born charismatic. I had to learn people skills the hard way. And my goal today is to teach you a little bit of the easy way to learn soft skills. In fact, if I had to summarize my early attempts at people skills in one word, so all of those early years attempts, it would probably be faceplants. So for me, my early interactions, and by the way, if this is you in chat, please tell me, me too, I had this as well, any of these that look familiar to you. For me, my early years professionally, high school and college, forget it, was always worrying about people. So not being taken seriously, being interrupted, fear of not being liked. I also felt, especially in the very beginning part of my career, not being able to pitch myself or my skills, being able to negotiate for myself, being able to interview, all of those skills eluded me. I always wondered, does everyone else have the rule book somewhere that I just wasn't given? And so it took me a long time to figure out that I had these very awkward interactions. Hopefully other people as well have had these kinds of interactions. And I can see in the chat, other people are saying me too. Yes, those weird silences, those awkward silences were the worst. And so what happened for me is I realized that as I started to talk about these experiences, that I was not the only one struggling. Specifically, and this is a really big idea I want to get across right at the beginning, is it's not your fault. So if you're like me, in the beginning of your career or maybe in school, you had very well-meaning, well-intentioned people give you advice like, just be more outgoing. So I'm an ambivert, and we're going to talk a little bit later about personality traits. So an ambiverts are not quite as extroverted as extroverts. They're not introverted. They tend to need to have recharge time, and they can be extroverted around the right people in the right situations. So telling an ambivert or an introvert to be just more outgoing is like telling someone to not be themselves. It is a very torturous piece of advice. So just be more outgoing. Or very well-meaning people would say, so have you tried building your network? Have you tried networking? So going to these networking events and trying to make as many contacts as possible was like torture. I ended up with a lot of low quality contacts. So I was meeting people, I was getting business cards, but nothing was actually coming of it. Or this piece of advice. This one I really struggle with. I don't know if anyone else feels this way as well. Fake it till you make it. So fake it till you make it is one of those pieces of advice that I think is well-intentioned. In other words, people think if you just act outgoing, you'll be more outgoing. If you act more powerful, you'll feel more powerful. The problem is, and this is one thing that I want to make sure that we get clear right away at the beginning of this training, is I do not believe that you have to be fake to succeed with people. I don't think you have to pretend to be something that you're not to be able to get people to like you. I don't think you have to pretend or hype up anything to increase your influence. And so this led me to a big question, sort of the question in my changing career path, which I cannot wait to take you on in a few minutes, is there a new way? Is there a better way to interact with people? Is there a way that we can interact where we can be ourselves, not pretend to be something we're not, be able to get influence without feeling smarmy or inauthentic or faking it or feeling like we're forcing ourselves into situations that we absolutely hate? And the answer is yes. I think that there is a new way. Here's what often happens. Let me take you through this journey of how I realized everyone else seemed to be having the same problem as well. And I didn't understand where the breakdown was. Like where was the story falling apart? Here's the story. So we get thousands of emails at the Science of People Lab, thousands of emails from people. And I found that there were patterns. There are patterns of what people want more of. Typically, they fall into one of these three buckets. I want more success. I want to level up my professional success. I want more respect. This could be professionally, but also romantically or socially. I want respect for my partner, respect for my friends, respect for my boss. I want to be interrupted less. And then the last bucket is I want more income, right? I want to somehow take people skills and communication and relationships with my clients or my bosses or my colleagues and level that into what I'm worth. These are the three buckets I tended to see the most often. You can let me know in chat also if one of these kind of resonates the most with you. Usually one resonates the most with people. And then this is where the story broke down. We see these and I would ask people, okay, if you want more of these things, what have you done in the past to get more of these things? Typically, these were the first solutions that people came up with. One, I guess I just got to get another degree, right? I got to get more schooling, got to get another degree, maybe add more technical skills. Like people would say, well, if I want a raise or if I want a promotion, maybe I should learn project management for clients. Maybe I should learn accounting. Maybe I should learn programming. Usually it was to add more technical skills and hope that would lead to one of these three things. Maybe it was go to more conferences or network more, right? People would say, maybe I have to build my network, probably from that well-meaning advice they had gotten at the very beginning of their career. And what happened was the same thing happened to me is to try to get these three things, they would go after these, get another degree, add more technical skills, try to build their network, but it wasn't actually working, right? It wasn't actually coming out in more success or more respect or more income. I do not think these things work. Or if they do, it's a slow, long path, right? Getting another degree or adding skills, it can be a huge path to actually getting to those things that you hope will actually work. My argument here is that there is a hack or a backdoor, I think, into these things that is much faster, which is being a master communicator, leveling up your communication skills so you're able to ask for more success, more respect, more income, whether that's through interviews, negotiations, performance reviews, public speaking, advancing your people skills. And I don't just mean, make good eye contact, have good handshake. I mean advanced science-backed people skills. And this is the big one. And this is one that I think that in my books and courses, I talk a lot about how the new confidence is control. I think a decade ago in self-help literature, everything was about self-esteem and confidence. And that was okay. But when someone tells you to just be more confident, it's a little bit hard to actually address that. I think the real key here is more control. Taking control of our relationships, taking control of our first impression, taking control of our presence. I think that when people have really advanced PQ or interpersonal intelligence, that control piece is what gets them the fastest bang for their buck. So here are my 2 goals for this training. And we're going to dive really deep into these. 1, I believe the only way to exponentially grow your success is with advanced people skills. I'm going to give you some great science for why that is. And second, and this is the hard one, is the only way to master your people skills is with science-based frameworks. Let me tell you why I think this is more of an interesting one. I was given this book early on in my awkward days in my career. Wonderful book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I loved it. I read it, I devoured it. I actually have an original signed copy that I bought from an old bookstore. Love this book. But it brought up a lot of questions. I feel like with this book, it leveled me up 1 or 2 spots on my people skills, right? I maybe went from 0 people skills to a few, like level 1. But I started to have all these questions, right? I wondered, is there science behind any of this? What does the research say about conversations? I also wondered, a lot of the tips were soft skills, right? We talk about soft skills in terms of kind of ideas. And I wondered, could there be formulas to people skills? So I don't know about you guys, if I have any engineering minds or mathematical minds, you have to let me know in chat. I tend to think in formulas. I like black and white. I like to know, instead of someone saying, oh, just make a little bit of chit chat, make sure you build rapport. Right? Whenever I went to those career seminars, they would always say, make sure that you build rapport with the interviewer. If you don't know how to build rapport, that advice doesn't help. So what would happen was, I was like, how can we take the idea of rapport and actually build a conversational blueprint or a conversational framework? So I began to wonder, can we turn soft skills into hard skills? Can we teach charisma, conversation, rapport like we teach math or science? Is there a way to be able to do that? So here's what we do at the Science People. This is kind of our secret sauce. So the very first thing we do, we are a lab and we love research. So we want to find, someone in chat, sorry, is that a little bit better? Hopefully that's better. Go as loud as I possibly can. So find incredible research at our lab. So one thing we like to do is we like to take the absolute latest and greatest groundbreaking science from academic universities and research organizations and see if there's any usable nuggets. So I don't know if you've ever dove into, I almost said divin into, that is not the correct English. I used to dive into some of these academic studies and they were 20 pages of a lot of academic jargon. And I wondered if we took all this research, all these incredible intellectuals are doing, and looked for or tried to harvest actionable strategies and formulas. So that's what we do. We look for all the newest research that's coming out there, and we dive into it, and we try to take out what is usable here. Of this academic study, is there anything that our professionals could use in their environment, in their day-to-day? And the last thing we do is try to see if we can actually test it. Can we turn this research into case studies that actually work for our professionals in the real world? And that's what we do over and over again. So for those of you, all of my Science of Peeps watching, if you're new to us, that's great. I can't wait to meet you. For all of our Science of People friends that are watching, you see that we do tons of experiments. And that's because what we're doing is we're trying to take all the latest research and turn it into case studies with research studies in our lab. We have been so lucky. I'm so grateful to the media gods and goddesses out there. Our research, because it tends to be very, very actionable, has gotten featured all over. So we've been very, very lucky to be able to present this research to a lot of different media outlets, which has given us a wonderful platform to be able to test all of our studies, all of our theories, all of our frameworks with thousands and thousands of students. So we have had over 146,000 students take our courses. The number is actually old now. I have to update it. We have over 10 million views on our YouTube video tutorials, and I have done over 500 live events. The reason I show you these numbers is because these are not just my ideas. It's not just like I sat down and thought, it'd be really good if we developed a new eye contact framework or a new conversational blueprint and then throw it out there. we really try to make sure that it's based in academics, and then we test it with real students to make sure that it's actually working. So all the skills that you're going to learn today, I'm going to teach you 3 main steps for winning friends and influence people. Those come from very, very well-honed strategies. All right, let's dive in. Get a little bit of water. Everyone get a little drink. So let's dive in. Here are my 3 steps. The very first thing you have to know about our approach is I believe in finding your strengths. I think that the biggest mistake that a lot of people skills books make, or the well-intentioned people make, is they try to make you adopt something that isn't naturally yours, or that you're not naturally inclined to do. But I actually believe that everyone has innate strengths, that if they just know how to leverage them, it becomes much easier to be able to hone them. Here are the 3 different buckets that I want you to sort yourself into. So as I'm going to go through 3 different things, and I want you to, in the chat, tell me which one you think you are. So which one sounds the most familiar to you? The first bucket are introverted adventurers. So typically our introverted adventurers, their strengths lie in presence and control. And their main goal usually is they say things like, I want more control over my interactions. I want to make sure that I know exactly how I'm coming across. I know exactly what my first impression is. And I know exactly how to take command of a conversation without having to be loud. So I want a confident, authentic presence. I want to feel that I can show up without having to be loud. And I want to be heard without having to be loud. We hear this all the time, introverted adventurers. So their strength lies in control and presence. So tell me if you're an introverted adventurer. Oh, good. I can see a lot of introverted adventurers. That's wonderful. Next group, where are my extroverts? Extroverts, my goal-oriented extroverts. Okay, good. We have a couple extroverts. Here are what my goal-oriented extroverts want. So extroverts are very people-oriented, and typically they find communication very easy. So you might have been watching this so far and you're like, I love communication. What you really want to do is have master level communication. So not just, yeah, I can build rapport, I can be charismatic, but do you know exactly how to communicate your ideas, your worth, your presence in a very, very specific way. And you want to be able to tie your natural people skills to your career goals. So the biggest thing that we see, the biggest gap or rift we see with our goal-oriented extroverts is they have very strong people skills, but they're not always able to tie them to those first 3 things: getting more respect, getting more success, and getting more income. So my goal today is to help you tie your already strong people skills to your career goals. Lastly, and this is one of my favorites, is decoding. I want to know what people around me are thinking. So goal-oriented extroverts usually come to us and they're like, I want the skill of being able to speed read and decode people. So if that's you, I completely understand, because that decoding piece doesn't always come as naturally. And so I want to help you with that as well. My last bucket. So who's an ambivert? This is me, ambiverts. My ambiverts, you can be extroverted around certain people in the right kinds of environments, but you need your recharge time. So you tend to flip back and forth. Okay, good. There are some definite ambiverts here. I love it. So here's what ambiverts often want. Ambiverts typically are happy with their career. They're happy with where they're at, but they want more. So they feel like they've hit a plateau or a certain kind of level of success. They want more from either their work or the people they're working with. Deeper relationship, better relationship, more respect, more success, more opportunities. They also really, really want to be able to tie their social skills to earning their income potential, right? Making sure that they're actually getting what they're worth, whether they're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur. And lastly, and I love this one comes up a lot when I read our responses from our ambitious ambiverts, is that they want to have a bigger positive impact. That for them, learning people skills, and I'm curious if people in the chat who aren't ambiverts feel this way. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, tell me if you also resonate with this, that learning people skills is not just for your benefit. Yes, of course, you want to have better relationships, but it's also somehow about impacting everyone in your life better. Making sure that you're a better partner for your spouse, making sure that you're a better parent for your children, making sure that you're the best possible boss you can be, not for anything for you, but so that your employees and your team can really make sure that they're leveling up at the highest level that they can. So I also love that this piece, that there seems to be something beyond just our needs, what I want more of, but also what we can do more of in the world. So here's how we do it. for all three buckets. And I want you to keep in mind which one of those bullets resonated the most with you. The very first thing that we have to do for all three buckets is to level up our business PQ. So let me explain this concept. We hear a lot in school about IQ, right? Book smarts, IQ. I want us to focus on PQ. So PQ, people intelligence or interpersonal intelligence, is how effectively we decode, predict, and communicate with people. And these three pieces of PQ are really important. So decoding, speed reading someone's social cues, nonverbal cues, and communication cues. Predicting, so not only being able to be with someone and communicate effectively, but also being able to predict what their behavior might be. This is so powerful if you're a boss or a parent or a friend or a partner, to be able to meet someone and be able to know where the relationship could or might go. And lastly, being able to communicate with people better. So across the board, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. So Carnegie Institute of Technology, this study blows my mind. I'm going to share a lot of studies today. This one is probably the one that kicked me into gear the fastest when I originally read it. 15% of our financial success is due to technical ability. Okay, 15%. So where does the rest go, right? If we're constantly leaning on our technical skills or our degrees or our resume skills for our financial success or our income levels or our raises or promotions, where is the rest? 85% they found of our financial success is due to people skills like personality, the ability to communicate, negotiate, and lead. I was totally blown away by this. And when they put it into numbers, they actually found that people who rank off the charts for high interpersonal intelligence make an average of $29,000 more per year. I mean, like, right? Like, I don't know in chat if that shocks you, but I was shocked by this because it measures soft skills. It's so hard to measure our ability to negotiate or lead or communicate. But with PQ, we're actually able to measure that and know that that's the fastest way to getting more of those three things. That's why when I was talking about getting more success, respect, and income, that the research also backs us up on this. Now, there are 4 different core competencies with business PQ. So if you have to break interpersonal intelligence down into 4 different areas, here are the 4 different areas. And so what I want you to do for a second is look at these 4 areas, and I want you to pick the one that you think you need the most or would have the highest impact for you. So of these 4, put in chat 1, 2, 3, or 4, which one are you like, yes, like that is the one that I need to really level up on. So the first one is leadership and management, leading people, influencing people. Second, basic communication and relationships. So this would be building rapport, having presence. Third, teamwork and collaboration. So this is specifically how you work with others, how productive you can be with others. And lastly, this one is very specifically tied to income. If you're in a sales role or a client relationships role, where you do a lot of project management, or you're an entrepreneur where you're constantly having to sell yourself, this is how you pitch, how you present, how you're able to interface with clients. So I want you to put down, okay, interesting. There's all over the board here, different numbers. I'm always so curious how they go. Okay, so I want you to think about this and keep this front of mind for the next exercise we're going to go through. Because the more focused you are on the areas that you want to improve, the faster you'll be able to improve them. Very quickly, we're about to go through an exercise together. You're welcome to just take out a blank piece of paper and write out your answers. But if you want to download our handout, it's a free handout. You're welcome to download it as well. We actually have some of our slides where you can go through the exercises. So scienceofpeople.com/PDF. Again, you're welcome to do it on a blank piece of paper. But if you want the free handout, we decided to offer a free handout as well, so you could kind of follow along if you'd like. All right. Here is that first exercise. Okay, get your pens ready. Step number 2 is doing something called your people workflow. When most people talk about getting things done on a team, as a leader, collaborating, they talk about productivity. And I think that most productivity focuses on, I wouldn't say the wrong things, but doesn't get the whole picture. Productivity is about more than just time tracker apps and Post-it notes. Specifically, your workflow, your to-do list involves far more people than we realize. For example, Fast Company found that business leaders spend roughly 80% of their time communicating. 80% of their time, whether that's in-person, email, chat, Slack, IM, text, phone, all those things. And if we don't maximize that communication, that's where we lose most of our productivity and time. So when most people think about getting more done, or you hear, I just don't have time to get things done. My to-do list is crazy. I'm so busy. What I would say is, are you optimizing your people workflow? Or are you optimizing the people in your workflow? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out a blank piece of paper or use that handout that we just sent out a link for. And I want you to think of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I don't actually mean necessarily friendships. I actually mean, who are the 5 people who are touched by your to-do list the most? So if you have a to-do list in front of you, okay, so I have a little to-do list in front of me. I took this out from my notebook earlier today. If I look at my to-do list, who are the 5 people who are impacted by your to-do list the most? So this could be an assistant, a boss, a manager, a client, a spouse, a child, whoever that is. I'm going to pick up the 5 most people. These are your inner circle, people who are influenced most by your to-do list. Second, after those 5 people, who is in your outer circle? So who can sometimes come into play with your to-do list? This could be people who maybe you don't interact with on a daily basis, maybe a weekly basis, or it can be people second down the line. So maybe you send something to a colleague and then they send it on to a client. In your outer circle, it would be your client, the next person who gets that thing in your to-do list. All of these people are instrumental to your effectiveness at work. They affect how fast, how productive, and how efficient you can get your to-do list done. So I want you to make that list. Just brainstorm those 5 people. So you should have hopefully 10 people you can quickly write down. Here's another way to round it out. So let's say that you couldn't come up with 10 people. That's totally okay. Let's try this way. This is a different way to think about it. I want you to think about your daily workflow and break your tasks down into morning, afternoon, after work, and what I call professional development. So this could be tasks that come up every once in a while, maybe not every day. And I want you to think about, who are the people that touch your daily time flow. So for example, this is just a couple ideas. Maybe your morning tasks, it's the person who sits next to you at your desk. Maybe it's a receptionist. In the afternoon, boss, project manager, client. After work, maybe it's other networkers or wingmen or wingwomen that you go to networking events with. It could be a client. Professional development. This could be, are you in a Rotary Club? Are you in a training or a teacher getting a certification? Maybe I'm your teacher. You're attending some of our videos or watching some of our classes. So that professional development, I want you to put all the people down here in your daily workflow. Project workflow. So I want you to also think about this in terms of projects. So teammates, clients, boss, manager, department heads, accounting. Again, think of everyone for your different projects. And you can take some time, by the way, after this class and actually fill these out. But I just want you to throw out as many names as you possibly can. You will begin to see there are far more people affecting your productivity and your to-do list than you once thought. So go back to your people workflow, make sure it is completely filled out. At least 10 people are on that list. I want you to see how many people affect your day-to-day life. And I love this quote by Jim Rohn: you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think this is not just important in terms of how the people around you affect you. I also think this is important for how the 5 people around you affect your success. All those things you want more of, are there subtle or small ways that they're affecting your productivity and your success? And the next big question we have to ask is, who is tied to your people problems? So what I mean by this is, we all have a couple of those wonderful problem people. See if these look familiar to you. Do you have someone in your life who is a controlaholic, a micromanager, an A-type personality, where as long as everything's exactly the way I want it, I'm totally flexible? Anyone have one of these in their life? Okay. How about this one? This is someone who thinks that they are great at communication. They think they are great at people skills, but everyone else is the problem, right? It's never their fault. It's never their problem. Yes, I think I have good people skills. What kind of idiot question is that? Do you have someone like this in your life where everyone else is the problem? Or do you have people who just drive you crazy? They slow down your to-do list. They drive you crazy. They have different kinds of communication styles. All of these people problems are very, very common. Here is my goal. I want to teach you the frameworks and the blueprints to work with anyone on anything. We cannot get rid of problem people. We can't. However, we can minimize them, we can leverage their strengths, and we can figure out ways to communicate and predict their communication. Remember that high PQ, so that we can at least not let them affect or negatively impact our productivity and our to-do list. And that's what this is all about. That's a skill to be able to manage those people so you make sure that you are getting what you need. We use a lot of research from Google's people analytics team. They have incredible research on how people work. And one of the things they say is we can predict with 86% confidence who will be a good hire. I mean, that is the kind of prediction ability that I want us all to have. I want you to be able to meet someone, a client, a colleague, a friend, and be able to predict, hopefully with 86% confidence, how that relationship will go and how you can leverage the strengths of that person to be able to, you both win, right? So that both of you feel like you're getting along, getting the best of the deal. Here's another way to think about your people problems. So here's a list of the common people problems. These are the ones we see over and over again. I want you to look at this list and pick out the one that you think most resonates with you, the one that you're like, oof, that's my people problem. So no accountability, lack of communication, not being taken seriously, lack of respect, not having a strong reputation. Which of these kind of pops out at you? Oh, good. It looks like in chat we have tons that are not being interrupted, not having enough influence. So these are the most common people problems. A way to think about this people problem, hold it in your mind for a second. And I want us to go through the solutions. Okay, so whenever I talk about problems, I always like to talk about solutions. So if you had to solve some of your biggest people problems with solutions, which solution on this list do you think is the one that you're like, yes, if I could nail that or if I could leverage that, I would really be able to level up my game. So powerful communication, improved career reputation, clear pitch method. All of these are very common solutions that we see tend to have the biggest viral effect or the biggest compounding effect for a lot of people problems. So the solutions that really wield a lot of power. I want you to pick one. So for example, let's say that you, on this list of solutions, you think if you could be more indispensable in your office, with your clients, in your network, really be a valued member of your office or your team or your network, that would solve some of your people problems. Now I want you to look back to your people work, your project workflow and your people workflow. And I want you to think about who could help you with that solution the most. So when you think about being indispensable to your clients or being indispensable in your office, maybe that's the two people that would really have the most impact there would be your manager, your direct manager, and potential clients. That you think that if you could develop really, really good relationships with those two people, that would help your solution the most. The goal of this exercise, what I want you to begin to do, and I want you to take some time after this class to think through it, is I want you to begin to tie your people problems and your people solutions to real people in your life. In other words, we're tying your to-do list to the hang-ups in your productivity. I think the most powerful thing that we can do to level up our relationships, to win friends and influence people, is to figure out exactly who is in our life and if they're tied to our solutions or our people problems. That's where we're able to see the patterns in our life. And I think that seeing the patterns or our people patterns is the most important thing for step 3. Step number 3. Okay, wait, let me get this one. All right, number 3, your career development plan. So every professional should have a career development plan. Where do you want to be in 1 year's time? So I want you to sit down and I want you to think about, and this is an exercise that I want you to kind of put away all the modesty, put away all the excuses, and just in one sentence, 1 or 2 sentences, if you had to imagine where you would be realistically, idealistically speaking, so in a very, very good year, where do you see yourself in 1 year? I don't just mean where do you want to be, like physically where do you want to be? I also mean emotionally where do you want to be? Where do you want your income to be? What kind of solutions do you want to have solved? Where do you want to be in your career, in your network? What kind of results do you want to have for yourself in 1 year? Right, do 1 or 2 sentences there, very, very quick. Go with your gut. Go with your instinct. Don't overthink it. Next, look at that goal or think about that goal and identify what are the technical resources needed. So in that Carnegie Institute study, they said that 15% of your financial success is due to technical skills or technical resources. So technical resources are still important. Are there any technical resources that you will need to get to where you want to be in 1 year? This could be a certification. It could be a performance review. It could be a new computer. Is there anything technical that you need here? I want you to write down a couple of bullets of, are there any technical things missing? We do this more often. We're usually pretty good at this. We're not as good at is thinking about the people skills needed to be where we want to be in 1 year. So this is a little harder. So now think about, okay, not just technical resources, but what are the relationships, the communication tactics, the people skills or soft skills that I need to be able to get here in 1 year time easier, faster, more efficiently. So this could be being a better presenter, having better boss rapport building, knowing how to build your network, being able to have a better first impression. What are all those people skills you need? And then lastly, who is your HIP? So HIP is a term that we use all the time at Science People. This is your highest impact people. So you hear a lot about VIP, right? Your very important people. I prefer highest impact people. So a highest impact person is someone who can greatly affect the success or failure of your career goals. So think about, remember that this is why I started to have you identify the people in your workflow. When you think about where you want to be in 1 year time, is there one or two people who you think could have the highest impact in your goal? Maybe they're gatekeepers, maybe they're teachers, maybe they are certain kind of relationships that you think, wow, if I could just figure out that relationship or be able to get that with them, they would have the highest impact on me getting this goal or not. So identify who are your HIPs. Here's an example. So let's say that you say, you know what, in 1 year time, I think I'll hit my income goal and my professional respect goals if I could be lead on our 3 major clients. From a technical perspective, what you would need to get there is a stellar annual review and a really, really solid new client proposal. Those are the technical things you think you need before you could even begin to think about being lead. From a people skills perspective, having really good presentation skills to make sure that when you're presenting to clients, they are stellar, and making sure that you're doing some serious boss rapport building. How do you level up your relationship with your boss? In that way, your highest impact people in this example would be your boss and your longest existing client. Those are the people you think could really have the highest impact. Let's do an example for an entrepreneur. So say you're an entrepreneur and you feel like in 1 year you want to become an industry thought leader, whatever your niche is. So for you, your technical resource that you need is starting a video blog. You want to do more videos and you want to start speaking at more industry events. Those are 2 technical things you want to have in place. From a people skills perspective, you want networking skills. So you have to really figure out how to leverage those conferences. And you also want to make sure that you have captivating communication for those videos. Make sure that you're really able to present really well on video. Your HIPs in this example could be a conference planner to get you into the speaking events, or maybe you do have a very important person, another industry thought leader who you feel like if I could get their help or their advice or their buy-in, that would really help me get this goal in 1 year time. I want you to do this exercise again, but now thinking about where you want to be in 5 years time. So this is a big one. I know everyone's like, what? I could barely do 1 year. Okay, let me explain why this is important. We often think about our goals in the 6 to 18 month range, but the problem is that when we have these really long careers, our success builds on itself. So I want you to, again, just with your gut, in 5 years, where do you want to be? And what are the technical resources needed, the people skills needed, and who's your HIP for 5 years? Does that build on your 1 year plan? And this is the hard one, I know. Same exercise for 20 years time. So at the end of this training, I want you to spend some time going through each of these exercises and beginning to look at your plan. This could be as short as 1 or 2 sentences for each. This could be as long as a couple of pages of brainstorming and dreamstorming. It is incredibly important that we take a targeted approach to career success. Success does not happen accidentally. It does not happen as an afterthought. And specifically, most people sit down to do their goals and they just think about what they want. You'll notice that this exercise not only starts with what you want, but I also talk about what you're missing. So when you think about where I want to be in 5 years, I also have you think about what are the skills that are missing, both technical resources and people skills, and who are the people that are going to be fundamental to that approach. I want you to think of this class, this free training, which is why I love doing these trainings, as a reset. This is your reset for being able to think about, okay, 1 year from today, the day that I watch this class, is a reset for me to be able to start to put these goals into action and to be able to fill the gap, filling the gap of those missing resources. And here's the thought exercise that I want you to go through. If this is truly a reset, how could this change everything? If you were able to implement some of these skills, level up your PQ specifically, if you leveled up your PQ, could that help your income? Second, if you could fix some of those people problems, right? Some of the people problems in your workflow, how would that change your time issues, your productivity, your busyness? And lastly, if you could identify those missing skills in your career development plan and hit all of them, how would that help you achieve your goals? This kind of mindset is how we're able to leverage these skills and be able to run with it. This is everything you need. You are ready. So first, knowing what bucket you fall into, identifying the core competencies in your PQ, and then most importantly, developing a very specific plan where you are targeting the missing skills. This is exactly where I want you to be. You have all 3 steps to be able to go forward and conquer. Now, if you're sitting there and you're like, what? That was a lot of information very quickly. I know I went through a lot of slides quickly. Remember that when you do each of these steps, you can absolutely take more time to brainstorm, like write out as much as you possibly want. If you felt like as you were listening, you needed a little bit more help on the people skills side, right? You were thinking about some of those leadership, negotiation, pitching tactics, the communication ones, and you want a little bit more help. I'm absolutely happy and thrilled. I know a lot of you actually came on this call to hear about people skill orientation. I would love to begin to fix some of those communication problems. So if you are ready to go, you go ahead and conquer that people flow, that people workflow, and your career development plan. If you want a little bit more help, I would love to help you with some of those things on your to-do list. So I mentioned earlier, a lot of you are on here to actually hear about People School. So now that you have this live training under your belt, I actually make sure that everyone goes to this live training before they even consider going into our flagship course. I would love to take a few minutes and tell you about my pride and joy, our People School program. So I have spent the last decade trying to produce a curriculum that would identify some of the biggest people problems and solve with the biggest people solutions all those people issues. So we have come up with 12 advanced people skills and put them into a virtual school. So the way that it works is we believe there are 12 essential people skills that every professional should know. And we really are looking for professional achievers. So these are very, very targeted for career success. We move very, very quickly as well. As you notice, I teach very, very heavy into the science and also go very quickly. We also wanted to make sure that the program was completely virtual. So all of our professionals are busy, right? They cannot always fly across the country to do a school. So the entire school is virtual. And we also make sure that you can log in and complete the course at your own pace. So for all of our busy professionals, you're able to log in and do this at completely your own time. You don't have to set up specific times to watch things. Here's basically how it works, the quick rundown. And by the way, after this, I'll also take question and answer on everything. So we'll talk about all the different things we learned as well as People School. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to pop those into chat. First, the very first thing you will get when you sign up to People School is this amazing People Workbook. So it is over 150 pages of templates, exercises. We actually have what we call your People Toolbox. So in this workbook are the frameworks, the hard skills, the formulas that we want to be able to teach you. So here is just a short list of some of the things that we have in there. Interaction roadmap, goal worksheets, charisma quiz. And of course, I added in here, we also have some fun things. We joke at the Science People that we are allergic to boring. So of course, we have trivia, games, and warm-ups in there as well. Typically, for companies, they buy this social skills workbook for $3,000 to do with their teams. So this is just one piece of People School that we include as part of the People School curriculum. So that is usually a $3,000 buy just for the exercises by themselves. My goal with these, so when I was trying to decide which templates, which formulas I was going to put into People School, I was trying to make everything on your to-do list easier. In other words, I was trying to think, how can I unlock the shortcuts? Or how can I figure out the ways to make sure that people are identifying all those missing skills, the missing people skills, the technical skills, to make everything easier? For example, let's do some people math. Now, I am not a math person. Full disclosure, I'm not a math person, but I can do this basic people math. So if you're a fellow creative thinker like me, just go with me on this people math. So on average, there are 480 minutes in a day. How many minutes of a day do you spend emailing with people? Just write down a quick number. So for me, on a good day, it's probably like 200 minutes. I spend a lot of time on email. We get a lot of email to send people. So write down your number really quickly. You can also pop that in chat. Next one. How many minutes a day do you spend talking to people on the phone or in person? So are you on the phone or in person? A lot. I spend a little bit less time on the phone. For me, that's probably about 60 minutes, maybe an hour a day. How many minutes a day do you spend thinking about what someone will say, think, or do? For me, I mean, this is probably unlimited because my job has to do with people, but let's just be safe and say another 100 minutes. If you added all these minutes up every day, that's how much brain power you're giving to the relationships, communication, and people in your life. What percent of your job, goals, or to-do list involves at least one other person? I think we don't realize how much of our success and our day-to-day has to do with other people. And that's why identifying or optimizing our communication is so important. That's why those toolboxes are so important. So next thing we do is after your workbook, you get 12 video training modules, each of the skills. So in each skill, how we do it is we teach you the science first. We're very science-based. We teach you a framework that you can use that science, and then we give you specific strategies, usually more than one strategy, to leverage those science or that framework. We have done this for all of the many major companies, Fortune 500 companies all over the world. So these are just a couple of our clients that have hired us to learn these advanced people skills, whether that's a sales team, HR team, engineering team. We love teaching these skills with different corporate workshops. Our corporate trainings start at $15,000. That's just for 1 hour. And obviously People School is far longer than 1 hour. So what was happening is we realized that the only way that you could learn our people skills was to work in one of these big corporations. So we wanted to change that. That's why I decided to create People School. But right now, the program itself, just starting off, the workbook and the training would start at $18,000 if you were working at a big company. I want to very quickly point out, these are not beginner level tips. So People School is very advanced. If you want beginner level tips, I highly recommend start out with my book, start out with our website. Those are where the beginner level tips are. This is the advanced level stuff. We're very fast paced. We also think about long-term goals. So in that way, we have a very comprehensive curriculum. I try to teach every skill that I think a professional should have in their communication arsenal. So as a professional, I think every professional should know basic negotiation, interviewing, rapport building, networking, first impressions, vocal power. So it's a very comprehensive curriculum for all the skills that you would hopefully do. And as I mentioned before, it's completely virtual. So you can do this with a very busy work schedule. The last thing that we do, and I like to highlight this for everyone, is we are very results oriented. So for example, the very first thing that you do when you get into People School is we have you identify your one goal for People School. So specifically, over the course of these 12 skills, what do you want to do, achieve, or get? That could be, here are some just very common examples. Land 3 new clients, add 100 high quality contacts to my network, ask for a 20% raise, set up a weekly influence lunch with influencers, improve my performance review by 2 points. These are a couple of examples from previous People School students. So that is one of the first things we do, is we really want to make sure these are not just theoretical ideas, that you are specifically targeting the different areas of your career development plan to get you where you want to be in 1 year, 5 years, and 20 years. we have some amazing People School students. This is just a small sampling, and they come from companies all over the world. We have tons of international students from all different kinds of companies, from McDonald's, Hard Rock Cafe, Hertz, US Air Force, Google, Microsoft. And we also have entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, and what we call pivoters. So you might be in one of these three buckets. Our entrepreneurs starting their own companies, running their own companies. Our intrapreneurs are at-large companies but want to raise the level of their success. They want to rise to the ranks much more quickly. And we also have pivoters, people who are like, I want something more out of my career, but I'm not exactly sure where that would go. So you can be in any of these three buckets as you go through People School. This is very important. And the reason for that is because we decided to make People School application only. We really, really want people who are goal-oriented. Our only requirement for People School is that you are very, very targeted towards your success. We don't care where or how you work. We just want to make sure that you are very, very driven with those professional goals, because we're very, very goal-oriented during People School. The other reason for this is because we have live Q&A and office hours. So when you get into People School, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, you're also going to meet your fellow alumni, your other students. So we want to make sure that we keep the quality of our interactions really, really impactful. So every video training module will also have a Q&A as well as audio. So one of our early students suggested that we turn all of our video modules into audio modules as well, so people could kind of listen to each skill while they're running, cooking, driving, coding. So each video module also has an audio piece so that you can listen to it kind of as practice when you're wanting to review. Here's a quick screenshot of one of our videos. So we actually brought in a live audience to demonstrate concepts as I teach. So as you're learning, you'll be seeing me teach with my slides, with all the demos, but you'll also have live audience asking questions for you on behalf of you at home. Before, you get to have live office hours with me. So while you're learning, you'll get to watch all the video modules. And then when you're ready with your questions, we have live office hours where you can submit questions. You can ask me your questions. I can give you feedback on your elevator pitches, on your profile pictures. This is where I give you feedback, as well as we do kind of group coaching. All of these live office hours are voluntary, so you do not have to attend them if you don't want to. You could even submit your question ahead of time. I can answer it on the call, and then you can watch the recording. So we really try to build this for very, very busy professionals who want to get their questions answered but can't always log in right away. So you can always submit them early. And our live office hours are really fun. You get to meet other students. I have exercises. I think in our last office hours, I showed a marketing example from a couple of plumbing companies just to show you how People Skills work in all different arenas. So it's really great. We get to play games in there as well. One of the things that was really important to me is I didn't want People Tool to be like another online course. I find that a lot of the times people buy an online course, they kind of log in and they never watch anything again. We really wanted to build the best virtual school experience we possibly could. So this is from one of our amazing People School students, Erna. We asked your permission to post this. So thank you for checking in with me. The little messages have really helped me feel connected in this class. I feel like you're there and available for me as a teacher, and I appreciate that. I've taken other online courses and felt completely on my own as I went through the material because they never checked in or responded to my emails. You've done a great job with keeping me as a student connected. So we are constantly making sure that you feel very, very supported as you go through each lesson. There are goal worksheets, there are action steps, there are live Q&A sessions. And so it's one of the best virtual experiences I've ever had. It's what I wished I had had in school. So I don't actually do coaching anymore. People often ask me, can I hire you as a personal coach? I've decided to stop doing coaching completely. And instead, I only do coaching in People School. So all of the way that I work with my students is through People School. So you watch the lesson, and then during those live office hours calls in our Facebook group, which I'll talk about in a little bit, that is the only way that I do any kind of coaching. It's only for People School students. When I was coaching back in the day, I was starting at $500 per hour. Obviously, you get far more than 1 hour of like live office hours, but that was sort of a way that I was able to mark out what the value that you're going to get is just from a baseline perspective. Lastly, finding your people. So one of the best parts of going to school is the alumni network, is meeting friends, is working with other people. And so you have the option, and this is one that I really want to think carefully about. I wanted my introverts to have the option to work with people if they wanted to or not. So if you would like, if you are extroverted, ambiverted, or introverted, and you would like to work with other people, we really want to help you find your people. So we have an amazing Facebook group. As soon as you get accepted into the program, you get into our alumni network. You get to meet other members of the Facebook group. So this is a great place where we as a team, so you can see we have a post here from Danielle Baker, who's going to come on later and help me take questions. We post resources in there. We post skills in there. As a student, you can also post questions to get feedback from other students. So here we have a couple of our students who asked for feedback, advice, stories. This is a kind of like a personal mastermind for you to be able to ask questions to other members of your community, other resources, get other feedback from them. So that's also a really, really cool part of People School. And we also decided just to kickstart your network. If you're coming in really wanting to build your network, if that's one of your goals, we also are offering or including 12 months free to our program, People Lab. So for those of you who don't know, at Science People, we have something called People Lab. This is where we have sort of our own private LinkedIn network for all of our Science People readers and fans, Captivate readers. And so if you want to kind of kickstart your network, we also include 12 months of People Lab free when you sign up for People School. So 12 months, $29.99, that's a value of $359. So total value so far, $18,859, just the basics. And that's usually what only corporations can get. So I had a choice when I was pricing this program, when I was thinking about the tuition for this program was, one, we could make it totally virtual, automate everything, sell everything as cheap as possible and as many as possible. But what I really wanted, and I've been so incredibly impressed by the students and the classes that we've had so far in People School, is I wanted to teach the social skills curriculum we never had in school. What I wish we had been taught in school, that's what I wanted to be able to teach in People School. And that meant having a much higher kind of experience. I also wanted to make sure that if it was virtual, because we have people from all over the world coming in on all different hours, that if it was going to be virtual, it was the best school experience I could possibly build. And that meant finding the right students. That's why we go by application only, is so that when you get access to our alumni network, you feel like that is an incredible value add to the People School curriculum that we teach. You also have a choice. You can totally keep on keeping on, right? You're killing it in your career. You're leveling up. You have the skills that you learn in this training, as well as the 3 steps that I've already taught you. You can take that career development plan and run with it, right? Knock out all 3 of those steps. Or if you want a little bit more help, is I want you to think about what would achieving the goals on your development plan be worth to you? So when you think about where you want to be in 1 year, in 5 years, in 20 years, how important is that to get there, and how quickly do you want to get there? How about the social pain? So thinking about your people workflow, what would saving hours of social pain from your people workflow be worth to you? And lastly, if you could hit that average, that high PQ, what would you do to earn $29,000 more per year? Would that change anything for you? Would that help you? So as I mentioned, the total value of the program is at least $18,859. Obviously, that's not the price that I wanted to give you. That's our starting price for corporations. So what we've decided is to make the tuition $1,495. This is all inclusive. Everything I've talked about, all the videos, the online community, it never expires. So once you get in, you keep these classes forever. You always get access to the alumni network. And also we wanted to make sure that there is a 30-day guarantee. So if you come in and you're like, oh man, I don't have time for this, or you know what, I really am not ready for this right now, that is totally okay. We want to make sure that you love the program. So we also give you a 30-day guarantee. If you are ready to apply, I'm going to go through a couple other things, and we're also going to take Q&A. So if you have any questions, let me know. Fill out your application at scienceofpeople.com/apply. A couple other things that your investment includes. It's all included in your tuition. So as I mentioned, this list is long. Hold on, I need water. So all of the 12 career-changing video modules, the workbook, live office hours, private Facebook group, 12 months free to People Lab, group coaching, lifetime access. So as we keep adding new things, we have assignments, daily knowledge tests, audio versions, all of it. It includes everything. Couple special notes here. I did mention it's by application only. We also take limited enrollment. So once we fill up a class, we close applications. So it is first come, first serve basis. So we highly encourage you to fill out your application as soon as possible, at least to hold your spot. And once we fill up, we close the offer. Just want to keep that in mind in terms of if you're thinking about timing, we'd much rather have you apply and hold your spot. This is 11 years of research for me. I really wanted to save you the social pain and time. 11 years of research. We use a database of over 2,500 studies to fill and build the curriculum. And I have personally spent over $200,000 on courses, books, and seminars on people skills, trying to take the best of the best and put it in one place. So instead of having to go to all these different books or all these different things, that everything would be in one place. We also have lots of bonuses. So I only mentioned a couple of the curriculum pieces, but we have bonuses we've added to the program. How to ask for a raise. So not only ask for a raise at your company, but how to raise your rates. So I have an entire video bonus section on how to raise your rates with clients if you're an entrepreneur, and how to get or ask for a raise from your boss. We have formulas for that. Cold approaches, how to cold approach people at networking events. Whew. I don't know about you, but cold approach people at networking event used to be horrible for me. I figured out a formula, so we have a video training on that. We have tons more video bonuses that we've been adding to the program. Basically, when you come into the program and you're asking questions, if you ask a question that I feel like I have not specifically identified in the curriculum, I tried to create a module for you on that. So my goal is to keep on building that video library so that you're constantly getting new content all the time with it. And that is what's great, is it takes everything that you have as you're learning or as you're growing your career, we can add even more into our bonuses. Couple fun extras. You do get a certificate of completion in the mail. So let's say that you're having your company or your manager sponsor your tuition in People School. We give you a certificate of completion once you've completed all the lessons. You also get a couple of surprises in the mail. You also get an action plan and goal follow-ups once you're done or you've graduated from the program. We have lots more support for you. And as I mentioned, we're constantly adding new bonuses and lessons afterwards. Please get buy-in. Tell your boss, see if you can use your education budget, your company. See if you can get your manager to sponsor you through this. We are happy to send you an invoice if you want to use this as a business expense. So if you're an entrepreneur, or if you want to be able to submit this for a reimbursement, we're happy to give you an invoice for that. And if you have a colleague or a partner, business partner you want to take this with, we give you a 20% off. Both of you get 20% off when you refer a colleague. Here's how I think about it. We pay to upgrade our phone and computer. You've taken dozens of math classes in your life. You invest to learn technical skills like coding or accounting. But when do we invest to upgrade our people skills? For some reason, people skills have taken this backseat when they are actually the biggest impactor on our success. So I want you to think about how you're investing in your people skills, whether that's with us or watching our videos or reading the book. I at least want you to put some of that effort into it because I think it is the biggest way to impact your success. So your choices, as you know, keep on keeping on. You can take this recording, you can take this webinar, watch it over and over again, and do all three of the steps, or you can try something new. We have a very unique science-based approach to people skills. I'm sure you have never seen the kind of formulas that we teach for conversation. You can start achieving your career development plan and take a little leap. Although, I don't think it's that big of a leap because remember, we do have a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if the leap just doesn't seem right for you, that's also totally okay. We want you to love, love, love the program. Here are next steps before we take questions. 1, go fill out the application. So sciencepodcast.com/apply, fill out your application, hold your spot before we close this class. Make sure you submit before the deadline. And then as soon as you get accepted to the program, I personally read every single application. So I will be the one who is reading through each of your applications over the next few days. Once you get accepted to the program, you get instant access to skill number 1 as well as to our alumni network. So I am the one who's reading all of your applications. I cannot wait to meet you. I get to see a couple of you in chat, but really, I really want to get to know you on a personal level. So we're actually going to take some questions. And I would love to also know in the chat, what was your biggest aha moment from this training? I love aha moments. I'm going to be asking this a lot in People School. Was there one thing that you heard in this training that just really change your perspective on something you learned, something that really resonated? I would love to hear what that is. Pop that into chat. And right now we are going to go on and we're going to invite Danielle on with us. We're going to make her co-host so she can come on and she's going to ask some questions. She's been gathering all of your amazing questions from chat as I've been teaching. All right. Hi, Danielle.
Hey. Doing?
All right. So do we have questions? How are we doing on that?
Yeah, we're looking great. So before we dive in, I wanted to just introduce myself. My name is Danielle. I've been with the Science of People for a little over 4 years, and I will be one of your People School mentors. So throughout the program, you will have tremendous support from Vanessa, myself, and the entire Science of People team to work on your goals, to workshop your elevator pitch, and through all 12 skills, we will be here for you. I wanted to share a couple of quick stats from our past students in People School. So we've had students from 27 countries and 32 states in America. So we hope that you guys will be next to add to that list to keep our community growing.
And 27 countries.
Yeah,
Ooh,
for sure.
Lots of time zones. We get lots of time zones.
Yes. And so we have a little bonus for you guys too. So for all of you who have made it this far, we have a little bonus that we wanted to share on how to take the perfect profile photo. So I know it can be a little scary taking your profile photo, especially for LinkedIn. What's the right angle? What are the right colors? So I'm going to pop into chat a little PDF that we created. That's a fun bonus resource for you if you want to check that out.
So this is, we actually offered this many years ago on our website, and we decided, you know what, it's a nice little formula for, this is one of those people skills that people don't think about, right? Taking a profile photo. We actually have some really interesting science. We did a lab experiment on profile photos. So check out that bonus as a thank you for staying all the way through, a little extra for you.
Yes. And a couple of people asked in chat that can I get this recording? What if I came late? What if I missed anything? Yes, we will be sending out the replay later today, and we will also be uploading it right to the apply page. So if you want to rewatch and catch any parts that you missed and then submit your application, that will all be on that apply link, all in the same place for you.
scienceofpeople.com/apply.
Yes.
Easy one.
Yes. And before we dive into questions, I wanted to read an aha moment that Brandy shared with us that was super powerful. Brandy said, the hardest part for me, to put it simply, is reading people. I just want to express my gratitude for all of the work that you put into your videos, programs, and lessons. They've helped me more than I could ever accurately articulate. A million times over, Vanessa, thank you.
Yeah. Oh gosh, my pleasure. And that's, and the thing is, like, we want to make sure that everything you do with us at Science People is really impactful. So start with our videos, start with our website, start with the book. We want to put effort into all of it.
Awesome. So before we dive into questions, we've already gotten a few applications in. So we'll be sharing some of those. That's super.
Is that going to like come in? Is someone going to ping me?
I know. I feel like they're just like flying through the air as we speak.
Maybe Scott will come in and tell me when applications come through. That'd be good. He's one of our Science People team members, and my husband is in the other room. So he's coordinating all those applications. He can come in and tell me when we get some new ones.
Yeah, so we actually have one. The first is from Anki from LA.
Los Angeles. All right.
So our first question, Vanessa, comes from Mark. And Mark asks, my number one goal right now is to get a raise. Will People School help me with this directly?
Yeah. So the way that it works is every people skill builds on each other, and all of the communication skills you can use to ask for a raise. But we also have a specific bonus that I mentioned on how to ask for a raise. So I actually have formulas for how I think it's best to ask for a raise from your boss, how to prep for it. So you can use all the skills and then also watch that video bonus to use those or start implementing those as soon as you start in People School.
Awesome. So another application share, we have one from Sarah from Colorado and Ross from Queensland, Australia.
All right, I'm going to read those. After today, all I'm doing is reading applications, so I cannot wait to meet you guys.
Next question is from Kara. Kara asks, personally, I'd like to learn how to build charisma because charisma is a skill that is beneficial in nearly every setting. Does People School teach charisma science?
Yes. So I've hinted at it's a good question because I've hinted at charisma science in past videos, but I've never actually taught it in a framework. So we actually start People School with the charisma science, and we build on the charisma science all the way through the course. So I'm going to teach you something called the charisma scale. I'm going to have you do a charisma quiz, and then I'll teach you how the charisma scale works, and we're going to use it through every single skill. So I would say that charisma is probably one of the biggest scientific pieces you're going to hear a lot about. Like if you got a nickel every time I say charisma in People School, you probably earn your tuition back.
Yes, that's one of our favorite People School words.
It's true.
Question from Mary. I loved reading Captivate. A few of you in chat had mentioned you have a copy of the book. Is People School similar? Can People School and Captivate go together?
They actually should go together. So I wrote Captivate as the beginner to intermediate primer for People School. So People School is meant to build on Captivate. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have read Captivate to be able to get People School. You can totally take People School on its own, but they actually go really well together as sister curriculums. So I love that you read Captivate. You can also read Captivate later or not at all, but it is a perfect fit with People School. And I saw that someone asked, does People School cover reading body language? Yes. So I would say of the 12 skills, 10 of the 12 include some kind of nonverbal or body language component. So usually in a skill, I'll teach you the science, the framework, and a nonverbal strategy and a verbal strategy. So you actually get both nonverbal and verbal. I skipped ahead. I hope that's okay. I broke the rules.
Totally good. We're all on track. We have another application, Nick from Canada.
All right.
I like all these international
right
people.
Right above us.
Next question from Sultan. I would love to ask if skills and knowledge acquired in People School help in landing a new job instead of progressing in a current job.
Yeah, good question. So that would be the bucket of pivoters. Remember how I talked about we have entrepreneurs in the program, we have intrapreneurs in the program, people who are within a company, as well as pivoters, where you're thinking, I don't know if this is the exact right job or career for me. I want to maybe start somewhere fresh, start somewhere new. We also are going to talk a lot about your professional development just as a professional outside of your current role. So yes, if you want to pivot or change, absolutely, we're going to have skills on that.
Great. All right. I'm loving these applications that are coming in. We have another one from Tanya in South Africa.
South Africa. Oh gosh, I love South Africa. We spent so much time there. My husband would go back in a second if he could. I'm going to be spending a lot of time the next few days reading applications. It's good.
Next question is from Grace. I also wish there was a class for children learning these skills so no child would ever be lonely. Any thoughts on this?
Kind of on a personal note, my dream is to develop a curriculum for schools and a nonprofit arm of Science People. So my goal is that this arm of Science People, kind of the business side of Science People, is we hone this curriculum so that I could then take the curriculum and turn it into a nonprofit to be able to give to schools, to have in health classes, PE classes. I think we should be teaching social skills just along with PE classes or English classes. So that is actually my long-term goal, is to be able to create a nonprofit arm. So you joining People School, your tuition for People School, in a way is helping me get closer to being able to provide that as a curriculum for hopefully everyone in a nonprofit way.
Love that. Another application.
All right.
I think we need a dance for it.
Yeah, I feel like we should have like a counter up here, just like ring, ring, ring.
This one comes from Angelica in Manila, Philippines.
What? Philippines? Wow, got a lot of internationals. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good
next question. Yeah, exactly. People are like applying in their PJs.
Yeah, I like it. I'm half in my PJs. You just can't see them. I'm just kidding. I'm not actually.
Next question is from Mike. I also saw a couple people ask this in the chat, is I have taken some of your other courses and thought they were life-changing. Is People School different? Should I take it in addition to your other courses?
Okay, good question. So I know I have a couple other courses on Udemy and Creative Live. So we also have some on our own website. So for those of you who have taken our lie detection course, this is completely different. So lie detection is sort of its own skill. We do not teach lie detection in People School. So that's completely different. For our Creative Live classes, we have 4 different Creative Live classes: a happiness course, a negotiation course, a body language course, and a people skills course. The happiness course is a standalone. We don't do any of the happiness curriculum in People School. People School kind of takes the 3 other courses, negotiation, body language, and people skills, and puts them in one. So if you've taken all 3 of those Creative Live courses, People School will add some new science. We have some science that you've never heard before, but it would be probably a little bit of a refresher if you've taken all 3 of those. If you haven't taken all 3 of those, there's a lot of new content in People School. Udemy. So for people who've taken my Udemy courses, thank you. Those are some really, those been up, I think been up for almost 6 or 7 years now. Those are very, very old. So this is almost completely new content for my Udemy courses. So my Udemy courses were great, but the science has come a long way since then. Our frameworks have come a long way. So I would say if you've taken our Udemy courses, any and all of them, this is a lot of new content, a lot of new framework from those. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea. And you're welcome to email and ask us as well, or you're welcome to apply and in your application ask, if you have any specific questions.
Yeah, I also wanted to follow that up with something from one of our former People School students named Dennis, who said, I'm amazed at how simple yet impactful the program is. Being a Science of People junkie, I've taken a couple classes already. Having gotten through just a fourth of People School, I already feel my money is well spent. Thanks for looking out for us awkward people. We need all the help we can get.
And I think Dennis had taken all of my Creative Lab courses and maybe even 2 or 3 Udemy courses, and he still felt like it was new. It's also, it feels new. We're in a new studio, new audience, new slides, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
All right, next question is from Brandon. Do you have any tips about how a voice should sound when meeting people?
Oh, yes. So vocal power is a huge part of nonverbal communication. Phone, presenting, talking to people. So we have an entire skill. One entire skill is dedicated solely to vocal power. So skill number 6 is all vocal techniques, vocal power, pitching, phone. So yeah, that's all skill number 6. I thought it was that important that I made it in its entirety, its own skill. And that was terrible English. Yeah. I need my coffee.
All right, so we have a couple more applications in. Monica from California, Jackie in Canada, Lisette in Connecticut, Jason in Massachusetts, Shauna in Washington, Brittany in Texas, Craig in California, and Jackie in Vancouver, BC.
Yay. I love it. And by the way, I'm skipping ahead. I saw a question pop into chat on Train the Trainer program. So our body language trainer program. So our Train the Trainer program comes after People School. So we actually really, really recommend that all of our trainers take People School. In fact, can I tell them about the special thing?
Tell them.
Okay. So we don't usually announce this on the front end of People School, but because it was asked. So we really like all of our trainers to take People School first. In fact, after you complete People School, you will be able to use your entire People School tuition towards the Train the Trainer program. So basically your entire tuition that you pay now is just a down payment or investment in the Train the Trainer program. That's how much we really want everyone to go through People School first. So if you want to work on our team or be a body language trainer with us, we actually really recommend that you start with People School first to make sure that you really love it, and then the entire tuition goes towards it. That's not usually public, but if it's asked, I think it's good to keep in mind.
Definitely. So Vanessa, we're going to wrap up with a aha from Yuko, who says that the importance of PQ was their aha moment in tying PQ with career. So good.
And so surprising. Okay. Thank you so much for giving me your time today for this live training. I hope you're going to take that career development plan and run for it. If People School is right for you, I cannot wait to read your application again. I read every single one. I'll be busy for the next few days, it sounds like. Thank you, Danielle, for being on. I think you might have also seen Lauren and Scott in chat helping field questions. I cannot wait to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, go get your applications in. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.